Okay.
Hey,
Do we have Mother Teresa here today?
no, we haven't brought her in yet.
Okay. Hi, Erik.
Erik says hi.
Erik, can you please go get Mother Teresa for us?
Yeah, yeah, he said he can do that. But he
Okay.
wanted to say hi to you first.
I love you.
He said he loved you too. He's telling me that Mother Teresa is a little fireball, is the term he's using.
I bet so. To have accomplished all she did, I'm sure she must be a little spitfire.
Okay, he's gonna go get her.
Okay.
I don't know why he paused. I told her to go get her before the call.
Maybe she's a little shy, but somehow I doubt that.
I think I doubt that too.
Maybe she's just really busy ministering to the sick, orphaned, and dying.
We need to have that call waiting music, while we're waiting for them to come in.
That's right. Or cricket
Oh,
sounds.
she's so much shorter than what I thought.
Oh, really? Shorter than you, Jamie?
Yeah,
Really?
I'm 5'4.5".
Oh, okay.
She's definitely shorter than me. She's probably around. I'd say she's probably around the 5 foot mark.
Oh my goodness. Hello,
Like
Mother. Hello, Mother Teresa.
she's saying hello to you
Mm-hmm.
and thank you for having her. She said this was very interesting. She didn't know if she was going to have the time to join us today.
Well, thank you for carving out that time. I really, really appreciate this, and I think it will really do a lot of good for a lot of people.
Erik is hounding her about the time thing. He goes, that's not true. You can show up wherever you want. He goes, what was your hesitation?
Uh-oh. Beating on Mother Teresa. Naughty Erik.
She said she believes in a lot of spirit communication because this is how she communicated to Jesus when she was alive.
Oh.
Though she appreciates the work that we do, she feels it needs to have more direction religiously.
Okay. You talking about from a Christian standpoint?
Yes, she said she's not judging our work because each man and woman will do as they see fit. But if it were up to her design, it would be structured under a belief system.
But then what would Moses and Allah and the other religious faiths, those who follow other religious faiths, what would they think? I mean, who would they follow?
She says they would think whatever they want. We're not here to change that, are we?
Well, what would Jesus think? What would Jesus do?
What would Jesus do? Oh, I'm just going to get comfortable because this is going to be a long one.
I know.
Okay. What would Jesus do? Jesus would embrace anyone who comes to him.
Including non-Christians.
Yes.
So if we were to narrow it to a Christian faith...
Yeah, that's her purpose, is that I didn't call on Jesus's protection when I opened this kind of communication.
Okay.
I don't use Jesus personally as Jamie, part of my intent or prayer before I do sessions.
Mm-hmm.
I use the term Father, Mother, God. I use it a bit more broad, but Erik is asking her what her belief or what is her faith based in. And she's telling him that her heart belongs to Jesus.
Okay. That was one of my questions, actually. When you crossed over, what sort of conversation, what did you think when you first met Jesus?
She says, I was accepted. She has an older woman's voice, but there's also an accent to it.
Mm-hmm.
She talks in shorter sentences. It's not very elaborate, or she doesn't add extra words in. It's just very simple and direct. What she wanted throughout her life was to be in his presence and accepted by him. Though she knew this in her heart when she was living, it is always a different feeling when you can look into the eyes of the one you believe in.
Okay. Now, what influenced you to begin ministering to the sick, the orphan, and the dying? And what made you join a convent?
She said she knew from day one that she belonged in service to other people. Her father passed away young, or she was little when he passed away. It brought up many questions to her about death. She said for her, it showed her that life was much shorter than what she dreamed it should be as a child. So she must have been a little girl. That's kind of how showing it in my head, like 8, 9, 10 kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But she said she knew she wanted to go into the service after that. Mm-hmm. Makes it sound military, doesn't it?
I know.
But she means the church. She couldn't do that until she was old enough. Mm-hmm. Her mother would not let her leave, to let her go live at the church. But she said she made many trips, pilgrimage.
Mm-hmm.
That's the word, right?
Mm-hmm. Pilgrimages. That's kind of hard to say.
There it is. To worship, mm-hmm. and to seek solitude at the church. Through those experiences, she knew that is where she wanted to stay. She no longer felt she needed to be attached or define herself by her family. Mm-hmm. She wanted to be attached to Jesus and defined by the spiritual family.
Okay. Now, on September the 10th, 1946, you were traveling on a train to a convent in Calcutta from Darjeeling for some annual retreat, and you experienced what was later described as the call within the call. What happened, if anything?
You make her smile when you talk about this.
Oh, okay. I aim to please.
But that just makes you realize, like, through all of this, she's not a really smiley, bubbly person. She's very calm and simple. Mm-hmm. So when you mentioned this, whatever it was, she smiles broadly. Erik is repeating the question to her. I thought I'd let you know why there was silence.
Okay.
Erik is asking her to describe it in a way that we could maybe understand it or compare it to an experience. Mm-hmm. And so she's explaining to Erik, not necessarily to me, that it was as if it was an outer-body experience where she was able to communicate directly to God and to Jesus. And it was clear for her the path that her life would take. Mm-hmm. From that moment on, she's telling Erik she had no more doubt nor question of what her life would be like, and the types of attacks. Is that what she's saying? The types of attacks that would be pushed on her work mm-hmm. that she was meant to do on Earth.
Okay.
She's telling Erik, I think she's much more comfortable with Erik than me.
Oh, no.
She's still speaking to Erik, and she's saying that she was not an angel. She did not come to earth as a holy being, as an angel.
Mm-hmm.
She came to earth as a little girl, as someone who was wanting to experience life. And it was in her younger years, was she able to clearly see without filters her own personal desire. There were many moments between ages 8 and 18, is what she's talking about, that influenced her to follow that unfiltered dream that she had when she was young.
Okay.
But she's explaining to Erik, everything she did in this life was driven from within her and her belief.
Okay.
She had a mission.
Okay. Can you
She goes, literally, you had a mission. She said, yes.
Yeah. Is that what Erik said, you say?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Mother Teresa, can you discuss the difficulty you experienced when you left the convent? And what happened when you changed? What happened that changed you from Sister Teresa to Mother Teresa when you left the convent?
I know she's talking, but I can't understand her.
Uh-oh. She's speaking another language? Or she's mumbling? Or
Yeah, I guess it's more of a mumble. I mean, I should hear it in English no matter what, but Erik's coaching her. He's so sweet with her, and every now and then he's got to reach down to rub her. He rubs the back of her shoulder. She's in a really, really pretty blue. I think in pictures, don't you normally see her in white? I don't.
With a little blue.
See her in that traditional white. It's an amazing blue color. She's saying that there was no difficulty in leaving. She was blessed by the seer, the holy seer, to leave. And she discovered it was her calling. Okay, we gotta find a way to make this a little more smoother.
Okay.
So I'm asking Erik, maybe if she's so comfortable with him, that she talks to him and Erik just gives it to me, just right away.
Okay.
Instead of me trying to listen into a conversation.
Okay.
Look good? Okay. Erik, oh gosh. He hasn't said a single cuss word, which I'm very proud of. But
that's good.
Okay. It was years in the development that she wanted to work outside of the church. And while she was teaching, she was a teacher inside the church. She had a classroom structured, and she would spend more of her time staring out the window and looking at what she could do out there. She found it was her calling to work with the people that weren't seen. The people, the poverty, the people that are on the streets, that the average person who can be productive in society would choose to ignore. That is what she was most attracted to.
Okay.
And she presented a complete program, everything. Erik says he's impressed on how with it she is. She had to present it almost in a business program and how it was going to benefit the church and what could it do for the image. And she did it all this way to make sure that she got the blessing that she could do the work she wanted to, yet the church apparently decided not to give her any money for it, but they let her go. They still took care of her, but they wouldn't put any of the money that was coming through the system into the work that she was doing, so she had to rely on the money coming in from the local people, volunteers, helpers, anything she could. And this is what helped start a complete movement for her, like the something of charity, what do you call it? The mission of charity? It's something, it begins with an M. Anyways,
Okay.
chatting away. She just opens, she's just sharing everything with him. I don't know where you want to go with this. She's just sharing him that her life is never in danger.
Okay, well, all right, so the local people really created this whole icon, Mother Teresa, really, and the name and such.
She was just blessed enough to have the face for it.
Okay.
She was face for it, I think that's how it should be put. Okay. And she loved being the head of it because she could see how much help it would provide.
Yeah.
Not only did she do, it looks like you're out in the streets or maybe at a park and she would just teach.
Okay.
There's no buildings, it wasn't regulated. It was just if you couldn't afford school or couldn't go to school, you could show up. Okay. And then she started finding ways to do that with medical attention, with nutrition, with clothing, and education. Her deepest calling and her purpose on earth. That's usually our question.
Yes.
Was not just to take care of the immediate need, such as if someone was hungry, she could provide food for them and give them satisfaction in that moment. Or if they were cold, she could provide clothing to them, and that would satisfy them for that moment. The worst kind of poverty that she came across were the children and the people, adults, that were neglected from love, that were pushed away. You cannot just hand someone love and have them be satisfied in that moment. It is an entire part of the being that needs to be addressed and cared for. And this kind of charity cannot give that satisfaction within minutes. This is what she was most attracted to, wanting people to know that they were whole and beautiful, even though someone that should have been a support to them or a parent or a protector for them ignored them or turned them away or abused them. She wanted those people, those that no one looked at. She kind of has used that phrase a few times, that no one wants to look at. She wants them to know that they are beautiful and that they are whole and that they are loved, that they can create the love within inside of themselves. She feels that's what Jesus provided for her. Okay.
How beautiful that is. Oh, okay. Now, now you said that the poverty of the West was more difficult to remove. Why is that?
She says the people and the... Erik interrupted her and he goes, "Now, are you sure you want to say that?" And she said, "Speaking the truth." It's not her opinion. She feels she's speaking the truth, that the people of the West, their soul is designed to be more mean.
Is that an opinion or is that a fact?
She calls it a fact. She calls it a fact based on history. Oh my God. Okay. She's talking about when people left the governments and left the structures and came to the new land. There was a lot of internal war. There was freedom versus, structure, be it government, be it religion. But she feels that this new discovery of man actually removed them from a unity and made them stand on their own and be fighters. And so the program for the Western person is that they are more of an individual than of a unity. And so they are most likely to take care of themselves than to reach out and love their family or love the people that are around them. When she says the word mean, she doesn't mean it ferociously. She means it more egotistically.
Well, sometimes I think that when you're unified as a group that you feel like somebody else is going to take care of these people. And when you're an individual, you sometimes feel it is your responsibility to take care of somebody. I think the West has been proven to be some of the most charitable people in the world. The United States has given more in charity and been more charitable than any other countries, any other parts of the world. How do you explain that?
She says that you cannot deny, but that is mostly through innovative people who have succeeded in a company or the entertainment area, where individuals have gone upstream and created their own success, which sets them far and apart from the culture they were raised in. Well, she said, I'm speaking in general, not of the unique few.
Well, what about the middle class, for example, when the tsunami happened in Thailand and all these things? We're the first ones to pour out money and love, etc. What about Doctors Without Borders?
She's interrupting you, and she asks, what do you need me to say to make you feel okay?
Well,
she says, you don't defend your country. She said, I'm clearly saying this is what your growth was based on.
Okay, it just seems like there's too many contradictions with that.
She said, only if you're taking the stance of defense. She says, I'm taking the stance of observation.
Well, I'm taking the stance of observation myself. I'm not trying to defend. I think there's a lot that's wrong with the West. There's more things that I feel that is negative than positive.
She says, sorry, Erik is kind of asking her to clarify what she just put out. The growth of the American people going forward here, they're going to start to rely more on love as the basis of who they are when they move forward, be it in their personal life or in their larger career.
You know what I think? I think the basis of the charity and the donations that the West gives is to stoke the ego more than out of love. I think that's what you're trying to say.
She's nodding her head yes. She said you also have a better marketing system.
That's true. Now,
she smiles for the second time.
All right. Now, why did you consider abortion as the single greatest destroyer of peace in the world, and do you believe that still?
She says yes.
Why?
Because you are removing God's light from earth.
How does that destroy peace?
It is a very angry and offensive act to go against God's light.
Well, what if it's some sort of contract to help teach or for that soul to learn something spiritual?
With her understanding, this is through her eyes, she says. Erik turns his head to me and he goes, in other words, viewpoint or opinion. And he whispers it to me. That it is in her eyes that nobody, no life force wants to give away control to someone else, to have someone else choose when their light should go out. It should be one's own choice.
Okay. Now, why do you think, or what do you think about your critics, specifically Arup Chatterjee, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, who felt you promoted a negative image of Calcutta, and he also claimed that you were not a significant entity in Calcutta in your lifetime. He felt you misused funds and privileges at your disposal. Is that true? And was there a spiritual reason for this criticism to happen?
she's saying that she understands where the criticism is coming from. She's telling me that she ran her operations very simple. Mm-hmm. She's remembering that a lot of people would complain that she would not administer more medication, more antibiotics, or pain meds, ointments, things of this nature to help the person who was hurting or suffering. All right, she's going to go back to talking to Erik. Mm-hmm. It goes smoother that way.
Yes, I can see.
Erik is saying that a lot of people considered her a bit of an abuser, that she would let people suffer and not take care of them. But her argument is that who is she to make the decision to take away somebody's suffering, that she was not in God's place, that if this person was going through suffering in their life, then this was part of what they came to learn, and she was help housing that in a very safe and clean environment, and that is what she provided. Though many modern people, especially Western people, felt that this was very much an abusive situation, which she could never see clearly why they wanted to attack her in this way. She did God's work, and these people, beyond their death and passing, would never say that they were abused. We sat with them, we loved them, we held their hands and showed comfort while they were suffering. This is part of life's lesson. The suffering is just as important as the love. Mm-hmm. The misuse of the funds, she disagrees with that. She was not attracted to money or awards. There was a time when so award money, is that what you're saying? Like if she won something and she got paid for it. Award money was coming in. It looked like it was really abundant. And she wasn't the one who would go to the bank and decide, what was spending on. There was actually a system in place. Though she feels she had good people in place, a person's character can always lay judgment to anyone. Though I am only one person, she's saying she could not have managed every single penny and cent that came in. And it was only after the fact was she aware that some of the funds were going to, unuseful causes, such as purchases for the ease of life for the nuns, instead of the money going directly towards the poor, more on travel than she expected. But this was not something that she dictated to occur or to happen. So for that, she apologizes for not being a better businesswoman. But again, she's telling Erik, I didn't come to this earth to be a businesswoman. I came to be a mother to those who had none.
Oh, well put. Well put. Now let's talk more about your view on suffering. You felt that suffering would bring people closer to Jesus. Of course, as you mentioned, you were criticized on your failure to administer painkillers. And one gentleman said one could hear the screams of people having maggots being tweezered from their open wounds without pain relief. But you felt it was the most beautiful gift for a person that he can participate in the suffering of Christ. Now, is that what you feel? That it's basically akin to participating in the suffering of Christ?
Erik says I need to stop making facial expressions, though I didn't know I was doing them. But he says I need to remain neutral.
Yeah, the whole maggot thing turned you off, huh? You didn't eat breakfast yet, Erik?
He was thinking about frying a few maggots and dipping them in chocolate and having them later.
Ugh. Erik.
He said, those fat ones? Stop. Back on target. Don't go off. Ew, I got a little gag in my throat.
I don't do maggots. I don't do maggots well.
Okay, new visual. Yes, please start talking. She does believe that there is a holiness within suffering, that people easily pacify their pain to remain what they consider to be in a joyful state, that it would be more productive or helpful or healthy. She very much disagrees with this. This is the strongest that I've heard her voice. It's very
vehement.
I very disagree with this. It is important, if there is pain, to feel the pain so that you may be able to learn from it, love it, embrace it. And yes, it is the suffering that pulls us closer to Jesus and God. It is the love that embraces us to extend beyond Jesus and God. That came with a really cool visual, actually. It's interesting to hear the words like that, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me.
Yes.
But that is firmly what she believes. She knows many people disagree. She says again, in her passing, she still continues to do this work on earth, helping others who walk her path. Mm-hmm. But she also has made connections with those that she had helped after they've passed away, mm-hmm. to almost finish the work that she did when they were living. And bring them in and help them cleanse their life to become whom they desire to be. She says, I will never direct a person towards a certain religion. It is not my job. It is for me to walk my own belief in hopes that others could see the joy, love, and centeredness I have gained from it, and maybe they would choose to follow me. So even in the afterlife, she's not trying to get people to convert or have a different belief system or live life differently, but support them in who they are and who they want to be.
Okay.
But her beliefs are very fixed, aren't they? Like, she knows who she is.
Exactly.
She knows what she's going to do. There is no gray line in this woman.
No, absolutely not. And I think this is really important, this whole interview, Mother Teresa, because you have a chance to basically show the world what you really, how you really feel, and you have a chance to sort of not come clean, but to rebuttal, to give a rebuttal to some of the criticism that's been levied against you. So that's good, because you were criticized a lot.
She said yes, and she's shaking her head. She says, I still feel no need to stand up and defend myself against other people's opinions. It is a waste of time. My true voice and my honesty won't change what somebody else believes in me. They'll have to discover that all on their own. It's why I chose not to fight back when I was living. My time was better spent caring for those who needed me, not those who did not want me. Okay. It is a lesson she would love everyone to learn. She's just going into telling Erik that if there was, one thing she wanted anyone who had interacted with her, worked for her, knew her, saw her, read about her, or even through stories, would gather is that the most important action that you could do or provide to you and in your life is to give love to your family, to look at your family values and to work hard on those. Because if I misunderstood what she said, if every family did this work, then the world would change immediately.
Yeah. Love your family. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
She says it with a strong voice. Yes.
Good.
You would think that pint-sized little thing would have such a, little bit of a rough edge.
Little Spitfire, like I said. Now, you were also criticized for the quality of care offered to the terminally ill patients in your home for the dying, and this was reported in the medical press, including the Lancet and the British Medical Journal. They reported the reuse, for example, of hypodermic needles, the poor living conditions, like the use of cold baths for all patients, the haphazard medical care. They said that often your order did not distinguish between curable and incurable patients, so that people could not otherwise survive without the risk of dying from infections and lack of treatment. So there was a lot of problems with the medical care, basically, and attention to the expressed needs and wishes of the patients. So, yeah.
She's saying that she never claimed to be a medical hospital. She was a place where people came in to die, and she was to help them. She said, I recall all these examinations and appearances at many of her centers. And her statement was, gather the money together and I will put together what you are suggesting. But often you can only do with what you have. She says, I could not create money and I was not going to sell my soul.
Okay.
She's saying the good thing from that publicity is, Erik, the good thing from the publicity was that people saw how bad it was, and the ones who still believed in her work gave more, and those who did not like giving to the poor were good enough to completely turn away and walk away from her. So it did her good in all ways.
Okay. Now, talking about this home for the dying, tell us about your decision to help the dying. Was there some specific experience that led you to that and to creating a hospice?
Yes, I didn't want them to die in the streets. She said I saw it too many times.
Okay.
So what she was comparing it to in her center was better than dying in a dirt-covered street. But what other people were looking at was comparing it to a structured medical center. And she says the two cannot be compared in that way.
Absolutely. What do you think about the hospice system in the United States?
She smiles. She said she's very proud of the hospice system.
Me too. Now, one more criticism aspect of the criticism levied against you. The secretary of the Vishwa Hindu said that your first duty was always to the church, and the social service was incidental. And the secretary also accused you for favoring Christians, conducting baptisms on the dying. Is that true? What was the spiritual importance, if any, of this spiritual controversy?
Her life was dedicated to the church first. This is very true. Her social duties and services were second to that. The favoritism for Catholic believers to non-Catholic, she doesn't believe that that is true. If there were, Okay, we're going back through Erik. If there were people on the streets or people that she was caring for that did want to be baptized, she would do so. And because that action was outside of a normal care structure system, it looked as if I was playing favoritism or doing too much for one instead of the others. But if you came to me and asked for it, I would do so. If you came to me and did not ask for it, I would not do so. So therefore, an observer would clearly... What? An observer would clearly see that I was doing extra for some and not for others, but it was not because of my personal opinion. It was because of the individual need of the person.
Okay. Was there some sort of spiritual reason for this criticism of that?
She says, when you choose to come to Earth, you have to both embrace the good and the bad.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how well you can walk on Earth and never leave a footprint, someone will find a way to bring out the worst in who they think you are or what they think you have done. It was my job to embrace the critique, to not fight against it. It was my job to be seen as a human and not as an angel on earth. This critique, these attacks, help serve me, and my purpose is choosing to be here.
Was there all this criticism, was there some spiritual reason for it for the larger masses? Not just you personally.
She said, yes, critique is more marketable.
Oh, gosh.
Well, but it's true, huh?
It's true. So why would that help?
Get out. Go ahead, what was this?
Why would that help?
Then more people would know about the need in these other countries and places than not.
All right, so drawing attention to the poverty and the sick and the orphaned, etc.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Now, how do you feel about the fact that the Archbishop of Calcutta ordered an exorcism performed on you when your health started declining?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Were you possessed, Mother Teresa?
There's a tiny little giggle in her voice. No.
Of course not. I'm teasing.
No. Erik says, was that based on anything that you did? He goes, did you just start, bad-mouthing Jesus? And Erik is just ranting off like this, and you can tell she's handling him fine, but she's giggling a little bit that he would, kind of casually speak to her in this way. It's really interesting. No, she did not say anything against the name of God or Jesus.
Okay.
And it was simply, she had so many attempts to die, but she kept living. And so it was kind of, made that something was stopping her from dying, keeping her alive and suffering, to condemn her into this place where she couldn't reach God and Jesus. And so they ordered the exorcism just in case there was anything that was holding her back from dying.
Yeah, you better cover all your bases, huh?
Cover everything.
Really? Now, it says you often oppose the Hindu rite. Why is that? Not a conservative, I guess, huh?
Why she opposed the Hindu rite? For this, she's saying it was a personal choice, that she had to go with what she felt was true within her. I wasn't going to speak about things that I couldn't believe in or support.
Okay.
Erik is asking her about details and, how did she stand on it and feel about it, and she's shutting him down. Like, this is not important. This is not going to serve anyone.
Okay. Now, there were periods of time, Mother Teresa, where when your faith was really tested. In fact, you even questioned the existence of God. Why did this occur? And what renewed your faith?
Every man's faith will be measured on earth. Erik goes, and women.
There we go. That's true.
Mother Teresa told me not to be embarrassed by him. He speaks his truth.
That's true. That's true. But we often are. He could be a little brat.
It was her chance for her faith to be measured. Through it, she found out she was stronger than what she was. It encouraged her to do more global work than immediate work that was around her. You asked another question besides the faith being challenged?
And what renewed your faith?
Rediscovering the trust in myself.
Wow. But was there That's amazing. What was there one thing that made you wonder whether God existed?
She said that there were many. And when she was living, she was simply human. She just had the discipline and the strength to stand on top of her faith instead of beneath it. It made her seem out of the ordinary or extraordinary, though she never felt she was.
Okay.
Erik is asking her about those many things, and she's bringing up the internal struggles that she had with those daily questions of why. Why does this baby have to be neglected?
Oh, yeah.
Why can't we feed them? Why does love not exist here? She had, as Erik's telling me, that she had a lot of strength in her faith, that if she believed in it enough and created it, that it would happen. And there were many times that it would fall apart. And so she often had a doubt whether she was doing the work properly towards Jesus's liking or doing. And this is what would create small holes for her to, just doubt her belief. She says, I think if there is any man on earth, of course Erik yells out, or woman, that does not have holes in their belief, that they are not willing enough to look at the entire picture, that they are narrow-sighted, and that if they misstep or step slightly to the side, that they will fall off that balancing act that they have created for themselves and fall quickly into reality. It is important to look at the entire picture and not just what you solely want it to be.
Okay.
And in this respect, I was human.
Okay. Now, can you discuss the miracle of healing the tumor in the abdomen of an Indian woman?
She was ready to let it go, and the light of God took it.
The woman, obviously. So
the woman was ready to let it go, yes.
So did you have anything to do with that?
At best, she said, she was the channel for the light.
Oh, okay. Now, can you share another life that influenced your life as Mother Teresa?
Yes. She's giving me images and talking about being an orphan.
Mm-hmm.
A boy orphan. Doesn't remember or have any recollection of his life before the age of 4 or 5. He only lived till he was 9 years old.
Mm.
It was a life in India, and of the 5 years that he recalls, there was no foundation for emotional consistency. Every moment, every conversation with a person held a different emotional need. There was no parent, there was no guide, there was no love, no religion. Nothing was taught to him. Everything was on his own. He was unadoptable because he had deformities,
Mm-hmm.
like missing fingers and toes, like and the earlobes were shaped funny.
Mm-hmm.
So birth defect. Thank you, Erik. I was like, what's the name of that? He was born with birth defects, so he was looked at very differently. She said in that life, she willed herself, the little boy, willed himself to die.
Mm.
That he had a very weak heart, and so he decided to, stop drinking. He would eat, but he wouldn't drink.
Mm.
And so he dehydrated himself and died with heart failure. He decided that when he came back, that makes sense. It was very touching, so I got a little bit clamped. That when he came back into the next life, that he would choose only to look at the people that nobody else would.
Oh.
Which she said before, right? She was going to go to the people that the others ignored.
Yeah. Now, why did he forget? Why did he not remember the first 4 years? Was he a walk-in?
It was abuse, physical abuse.
Oh, I see. Mm-hmm.
So he just shut it out.
Okay.
Quit.
Okay.
And when he got old enough to fight back is when the physical abuse quit.
Okay.
Because it was women who were beating him.
Oh. Now, have you reincarnated, or do you plan to?
She said, I will, one day. But as of now, my work is not done where I am.
Or what kind of work are you doing right now?
Continuing to guide those on earth who are walking my path.
Okay. Do you have...
The way she says those, it seems like thousands.
Oh.
You know, it's not like 5.
Oh, good. Well, we need all the help we can get. Do you have any regrets?
No.
Interesting. Did you have any insights right when you transitioned? When you died?
She said it was still my life. It was just better.
Okay. Wow, that's interesting.
Huh.
No, you mean that heaven was still your life, but only better? Is that what you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or looking at your life on earth?
Mm-mm.
All right. Now, what were you here to learn?
How to not let other people's judgments upon myself guide the way I walk my life.
Do you think you accomplished that?
Yes.
And what do you think you were here to teach?
God's love.
And you obviously accomplished that.
She hopes so.
Oh. Okay. Now, tell me what you think about the state of humanity now. Gulp. Be gentle, please. No, be forthcoming. But what do you think?
The state of humanity today lacks the attention on the importance of emotions. Our focus is too easily placed away from us, outside of us, onto appearance, onto status, onto our pockets, but not into our hearts.
True.
I feel like she said before, I feel the first step each person can take today at this moment is to begin to mend and love their family.
Mm. So that's the advice you have for humanity. Do you have any other messages at all for us?
Who you are is what Who you are is not what is most important. It is what you do that is most important.
Okay. Well, what you do is a reflection of who you are.
But for most people on earth, they conflict. There's a lack of honesty between the two.
That's true. Emotional honesty. But you have to know.
She said yes.
But you have to.
Shout at me then. Go ahead.
But you have to know who you are in order to do the right thing.
She said not necessarily. Not all actions come from intellectual decisions.
No, you have to know who you are emotionally, as an emotional being.
That she agrees.
Okay, so I think both are important.
I don't hear anything.
Oh. All right, now you talked about channeling Erik, and you said that you think it should have a more Christian vein to it. Is that correct? Did I misunderstand that?
Yes, that was her perspective.
But I would have to disagree. I think in order to reach more people, that it has to remain non-denominational. Your reply?
Erik's doing a very inappropriate jig and saying amen again.
Uh-oh.
She says don't change who you are and what you do based on what she says. But this is coming from her.
Okay. Any other advice for channeling Erik that would help us?
She said use marketing in a good way.
Okay. Now, Erik, what about you? Do you have any other questions?
Nope.
All right. Well, Mother Teresa, I think that's all. Jamie, do you have any questions?
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, thank you.
Stay put though.
Pardon me?
Let's say goodbye to Mother Mary.
Okay.
But stay with me.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mother Teresa. You've done so much for the world.
She's saying thank you. God bless.
God bless you
She said,
too.
God bless you. And she said, God bless the world. Erik is walking her out. How do you control that boy?
I don't know. I don't.
You asked if you had any more questions. I wasn't going to say this in the moment. I didn't want to hear her reaction. I didn't want to put her in that position. He was like, so have you ever had sex?
Oh, no.
So I just kind of wanted to wrap that up and smooth that over. I did not want to be a part of that.
And what did she say?
Well, when he said it, I made a rebuttal saying that, we're going to close now. Thank you so much. Please, the thing was a joke, kind of a thing. I don't know.
Jesus.
There was no response from her. There was no...
I'm sure she has not, okay? Come on. She's a nun. Oh, my God. Oh,
Why?
Jesus.
Why does he have to go there?
I don't know. He's a guy, It's always first on their mind. That's awful. We should put it on the YouTube, though. No. Should we? Should we?
If you want to. He's your son.
Oh, my God. Well, she can't come back and beat us up, right?
I guess not. I'm sure she understands
the
joke
human,
of it all.
It's a human need. She didn't sound like she had a big sense of humor, though.
No, she didn't, did she? I kind of expected her to be a little more like, oh, sweetie, like a mother.
I know. Me too.
She was a little more...
She was a little opinionated, too.
Yes.
And I had to call her on...
She wouldn't use that word.
Yes, she said it was fact. All her opinions were...
I know. I was like, oh my God, this is not... I was surprised.
Yeah. And I had to call her on... I had to disagree with a lot of things she said.
I'm glad you stood up for it. I tried to in my head, but I was like, Erik was like, stop making faces. Be very neutral, Jamie. And I was like, oh, crap,
I know.
So I stood up for it because that was what was needed, I think.
I think so, too. So, Mother Teresa, watch her back. No, she's done a lot for the world, She really has. And I love her message. Love your family. If everybody loved their family, the world will be a better place.
Well, I guess I know what I can do tonight.
What?
Love my family.
Exactly. Okay. Well, I just wondered maybe. Oops, ADD. All right. Well, thank you, Jamie.
Have some more coffee.
Oh, I already had a second cup, and I'm already doing my Coke Zero. So, all right. Well, I love you. Erik, are you there?